Hello, this is Nathan Heinrich, host of the I'm Moving to Italy podcast, and I'm coming to you about 2.5 years in the future. I recorded my first episode of this podcast at the end of 2020, and now it is 2023. So I've been sharing this podcast and my adventure, which is filled with so many missteps and embarrassing mistakes and touching moments and things that I can share with you that will keep you from repeating some of the same mistakes I made. But in general, it has been a fantastic experience, and I've shared it with you with complete and brutal honesty. Another thing that I shared during the last couple of years of this podcast is I shared a lot of information about the pandemic. And the pandemic, as you probably remember, hit Italy particularly hard, partly because Italy has a very old population. In other words, there's a lot of members of the Italian population that are over 60 and even over 70 and over 80 years old. So Italy has one of the oldest populations in the world. And as we all know, the pandemic was especially brutal for older people. And so having moved in the first year of the pandemic, coming into really what was the first real full winter of the pandemic, the winter of 2020 and 2021, I was sharing a lot of information for those of you who were wanting to move to Italy, who were wanting to visit Italy and travel here from Europe, from the United States, from all over the world. And because I was living it and I was going through it week by week and sharing everything with you, I did cover quite a bit of material in the first season and even a little bit in the second season of this podcast. So, if you see in the description of an episode that I'm talking about green passes or red and orange zones or just different things related to the pandemic, travel during the pandemic, getting vaccines, and all of the stuff that was very relevant to us at that time that maybe now would be sort of like reliving a bit of a nightmare. I just want you to know that it's perfectly okay for you to skip over those episodes, kind of giving you a little bit of a disclaimer to let you know that there is a decent amount of pandemic talk in each episode of the first season and even a bit of the second season. I got really tired of talking about it. We all got tired of talking and hearing about it and watching the news. It was a tumultuous time in human history. If you don't want to relive that, feel free to fast forward or skip some of those episodes entirely. So that's what I wanted to share with you. But I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you have found this podcast. I'm so thrilled to be able to share this with you. And I really hope that you make it all the way through and catch up. I hope that I'm still recording new episodes by the time you find this podcast. But if I'm not, just know that this has been a labor of love and that I have thoroughly enjoyed this podcast, and you being here and sharing this experience with me has been a life-changing experience. And I just want you to know that I appreciate you so much. So thank you and enjoy the podcast.